Hello everyone, welcome back to Chapter 1 channel. Today I'm going to talk about a movie named Tomorrowland. Spoilers ahead. Frank, a young genius, enters the inventors competition at the 1964 New York World's Fair. Judge Nix is attracted by his jetpack idea, but becomes disinterested when Frank acknowledges that it isn't very effective. Even though Athena, Nix's assistant, likes Frank, Nix won't let him compete until the jetpack is completely working. Frank, who is devastated, remembers how his father used to tell him that he was wasting his time. As he turns to go, Athena comes up to him and gives him a blue tee and an orange lapel button. She instructs him to follow her and Nix in secret. Frank sneaks into a boat on a crowded attraction where a laser scans his pin, opening a hidden door that takes him down a dark passage. Frank finds himself in a futuristic vehicle, but, as soon as he steps in, metal blinds seal the windows and doors, and the ride begins to shake violently. He falls to the floor, staying down until it stops. When the doors finally open, Frank steps out into a foggy platform, where he is amazed to see a flying car carrying Nix and Athena. As Frank tries to chase after them, giant robots block his path. He dodges their mechanical arms but accidentally falls to a lower platform, damaging his jetpack. A helpful robot appears, repairs the jetpack, and hands it back to Frank just as guards show up to arrest him. Frank activates the now working jetpack and escapes by flying, discovering he's in Tomorrowland, a futuristic city populated by brilliant minds. Frank spots Athena, lands next to her, and proudly shows Nix that his jetpack works. Nix ignores him, but Athena takes Frank's hand and leads him to show him the life that awaits him in Tomorrowland. Years later, in 2015, a teenage girl named Casey sneaks into a NASA facility in Florida. She sabotages the equipment being used for demolition, hoping to prevent her dad, a NASA engineer, from losing his job. Athena watches from the shadows and, after Casey returns home, scans her DNA from a helmet and programs it into her last Tomorrowland pin. The next morning, Casey's dad, Eddie, gets a call from work about the situation. Casey initially believes she's saved his job, but Eddie explains that they'll just bring in new cranes, so she really needs to stop her efforts. Casey, however, insists that holding on to hope is more important. When Casey tries to stop the demolition later that night, the police are prepared for her and she is taken into custody. When Casey gets her stuff back when someone saves her a few hours later, she discovers the enigmatic pin. She touches it and is instantly taken to a different location. The same vision resurfaces when she touches the pin after it falls. The following time, she sees a huge, futuristic city in the distance while holding the pin tightly. But as she attempts to approach it, she runs into other items and discovers she is still incarcerated. She uses a gum wrapper to pick up the pin in order to avoid more problems. At that moment, Eddie arrives to pick her up after paying her bail. On the way home, he scolds her for what she did, so she hands him the pin and tells him it will explain everything. But when Eddie touches it, nothing happens. Confused, Casey touches it again and sees the other world, concluding that only she can experience this. Frustrated, Eddie takes the pin away from her. Once they get home, Casey waits for her dad to fall asleep and sneaks into his room to steal the pin from his nightstand. As soon as she touches it, she's back in the other world again, and as she walks towards the city, she collides with the walls of her house and even falls down the stairs. The noise wakes Eddie, so Casey hides and decides to continue this elsewhere. Casey heads to an open field, touches the pin, and finds herself in Tomorrowland. While on a train heading deeper into the city, she notices the pin has a countdown and realizes no one around her can see her. She gets off the train at the next stop and spots some prominent scientists boarding another futuristic vehicle. She tries to follow them, but water suddenly surrounds her as the timer on the pin nears zero. Casey pushes through the water, but before long, Tomorrowland vanishes, and she ends up in a swamp. After returning home, Casey wakes her brother Nate and asks for the password to their dad's computer. They search online for information about the pin and find an ad from a store willing to buy them. Casey jots down the store's address and tells Nate to cover for her by saying she's going camping with friends. The next morning, Athena shows up at the house, and Nate gives her the camping story. Sensing he's lying, Athena presses him until he finally admits the truth. Meanwhile, Casey reaches the store from the ad. The eccentric shop owners are eager to see the pin and confirm that what Casey experienced was real. They explain that Tomorrowland is a place where the greatest minds gather to create without the interference of governments or greed, and the pin is the only way to access it. The store owners want to know where Casey acquired the pin because they want to purchase it. They show off their advanced plasma weaponry and shut the door when she doesn't want to. The proprietors discover Casey hiding amid the merchandise and ask her for details about a certain female. The clerks are caught in a force field when a grenade suddenly flies through the window. After explaining that the grenade is a temporary time bomb, Athena storms into the store and assists Casey in removing her hand from the field. Unfortunately, the bomb is unintentionally deactivated when Athena tries to remove Casey from the force field, which lets the robotic clerks escape and launch an assault. Casey throws objects to assist Athena as they fight hand to hand. Casey is surprised to learn that both staffers are animatronics when Athena removes one of their heads. Athena swiftly removes Casey from the store before it blows up, realizing they are going to blow themselves up. Athena then breaks a car window to get them inside and uses a special tool to start the car. As they drive away, she explains they need to leave before they catch up to them. While on the road, Casey begins asking questions, and Athena reveals that she was the one who gave her the pin. Before she can explain further, Athena suddenly malfunctions, and Casey watches in horror as she repairs herself, realizing Athena is also an animatronic. Frightened, Casey jumps out of the car. Athena tries to follow, but as soon as she steps onto the road, she is hit by a truck. The driver rushes over to help, giving Casey the chance to steal the truck and drive away. However, Athena is unharmed and quickly catches up, leaping through the truck window to take the keys and lock the doors. Casey starts shouting, and Athena finally quiets her by confirming that Casey is her last chance to get back to Tomorrowland, where something dangerous has been created. Meanwhile, police arrive at the scene of the explosion and find a burnt robot head. Before they can investigate, a man named Dave shows up, claiming to be with the Secret Service. After examining the robot head, Dave pulls out a futuristic weapon and kills all the police officers. He then turns to his team and says they've found the girl and must inform Nix. Athena and Casey are heading to New York to find the only person who can help them return to Tomorrowland. As they travel, Casey asks about others who had received pins, but Athena avoids the question and shuts down. The next morning, Athena wakes up and takes over driving while Casey sleeps. She tells Casey they are going to see someone named Frank, and while Casey rests, Athena reminisces about her past friendship with him. Hours later, Casey wakes up when she is pushed out of the truck in front of a countryside house. As Athena drives away, Casey has no choice but to approach the house, only to be chased by a guard dog. After falling into the mud, Casey realizes the dog isn't leaving footprints because it's just a hologram. Ignoring the fake dog, she knocks on the door and shows her pin to a camera, asking to be taken to Tomorrowland. Casey is abruptly pushed back by a burst of air, and an elderly Frank emerges, demanding to know Athena's location. Frank becomes enraged upon learning of her departure and orders Casey to depart, accusing Tomorrowland of being a dishonest lie. Then he locks the door and returns inside. Casey waits outdoors in the rain because he won't go. She ultimately makes the decision to burn a plowing vehicle in order to divert attention. Casey slips into Frank's house and uses the same burst of air to lock him out while Frank runs to put out the flames. Inside, Casey explores and finds a variety of strange inventions. One machine plays a recording of a younger Frank trying to make Athena laugh, while another room is filled with screens monitoring world events and a countdown timer. Suddenly, a secret door opens, and Frank re-enters the house. Though initially angry, Casey convinces him to give her some answers. Frank explains he was expelled from Tomorrowland for creating something he shouldn't have, the very timer linked to the screens. He asks Casey if she would want to know the date of her death, and when she says yes, Frank warns that believing it could make it happen. Her response lowers the percentage on the screen, impressing Frank. Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of Dave and his agents, who turn out to be robots sent to capture Casey. Frank activates metal shutters to secure the house, but one robot breaks in. Frank electrocutes her using a special tool. Another robot is destroyed by an electrical trap, and Frank dispatches two more by dropping them through a trapdoor. Frank and Casey flee to the living room, where another robot waits. Frank fights it hand to hand, with Casey helping by using a portal device to trap the robot. They run upstairs, triggering more traps to stop the robots, but Dave catches up and holds Frank at gunpoint. Casey finds a bat and knocks Dave unconscious. Frank pulls Casey into the bathroom, and they jump into a bathtub that transforms into a capsule. Just as another robot tries to grab them, Frank launches the capsule, sending them flying into a nearby lake. After swimming to shore, Frank and Casey make their way into the woods, where Frank has hidden a bike that unfortunately won't start. They're startled by a light approaching, but it turns out to be Athena in the truck, coming to pick them up. As they drive away, Frank and Athena argue. It's revealed that all Tomorrowland pins were supposed to be destroyed, but Athena saved the last box of 12 to continue recruiting people. Frank is furious that more young people were dragged into this and accuses Athena of faking emotions to manipulate and then abandon them. Hurt by his words, Athena stays focused on the mission and drives them to a local station where Frank has set up a secret network linked to his house. They locate another capsule at the station, put on the proper safety gear, and then turn on a device that teleports them out. Casey discovers they are at the summit of the Eiffel Tower upon their arrival. A guard is standing close by, but Frank taps him lightly to knock him unconscious using one of his inventions. They enter a room that features exhibit of well-known inventors, and Frank tells them that Tomorrowland was founded by Edison, Tesla, Verne, and Eiffel. They had traveled to the other realm using the Eiffel Tower as an antenna. Frank searches for a while before opening the secret door. The Eiffel Tower splits open, revealing a rocket inside. As robots arrive to capture them, the trio rushes into the rocket. When the rocket launches, the energy it releases sends the robots flying. After ascending for a while, the rocket returns, opening a portal as it descends rapidly. Soon, they land in Tomorrowland. As the authorities approach, Frank hides a bomb inside Athena. Nix, the governor, is the first to confront them, planning to arrest them. But Frank and Athena convince him otherwise by revealing that Casey managed to lower the percentage on the machine screen. Shocked, Nix takes them to the headquarters where Frank's dangerous invention, the tachyon machine, is kept. In the elevator, Casey sees flashes of the future, created by the machine, which uses particles faster than light. Inside the machine's core, Frank shows Casey how to use it, allowing her to see moments from human history. Casey is stunned when she sees herself at home from a few days ago. Frank explains that the machine can also see the future, and Casey speeds through until she sees the grim truth. The world is predicted to end in 58 days. Nix coldly responds that he doesn't care because Tomorrowland will endure while Earth dies when Casey asks why they haven't notified the people of Earth. He forbids anyone from Earth from entering because he thinks they would destroy Tomorrowland in the same way that they destroyed Earth. When Casey rejects this, a hopeful vision appears on the machine screen for a brief moment. Frank interprets this as evidence that the future can be altered, but Nix rejects them and knocks them all out. When Frank wakes, Athena tells him they're about to be deported. Casey is devastated, feeling that their journey was pointless. But during a heated conversation with Frank, Casey realizes that the machine has been projecting a sense of doom to the world, making the apocalypse a self-fulfilling prophecy. If her optimism altered the machine, turning it off could let people hope again. As guards arrive to send them away, Casey tries to convince Nix to turn off the machine, but he reveals there's no off switch. Frank realizes Nix has been intentionally putting these doomsday ideas into people's heads. Nix explains that after being ignored when warning governments of impending disaster, he sent these thoughts directly into people's minds, hoping they would change. Instead, people resign themselves to the end of the world. Nix blames humanity for its downfall. Pretending to agree with Nix, Frank takes his hand and activates the machine's platform again. Athena and Casey take down the guards while Frank battles Nix. Nix unleashes two robots to attack the girls. Frank tells Athena to use the bomb he gave her, but when she tries, the robots capture her. Athena passes the bomb to Casey and engages the robots in a fight. Casey races to the platform, which begins to move uncontrollably as Frank and Nix fight over the bracelet that controls the machine. Athena manages to control one robot and uses it to push the other through the portal, causing it to attack Nix. Casey activates the bomb by predicting the future with a quick flash of insight, but as she's about to throw it, Nix regains control of the bracelet, dragging the platform down. Athena uses the robot to stabilize the platform, then runs to close the portal, destroying the second robot and trapping Nix and Frank outside. When the bomb nears detonation, Athena reopens the portal to let Frank and Nix escape, and they toss the bomb through the portal, where it safely explodes. The portal collapses, trapping Nix beneath it. Nix, however, reaches for a gun to kill Frank. Athena, seeing a flash of Frank's death from the future, sacrifices herself by taking the bullet for him. As Athena lays dying, she plays a recording of her memories with Frank, expressing how he made her feel emotions she wasn't supposed to have. Frank is moved to know Athena cared for him and always believed in him. With her last moments, Athena tells Frank to use her self-destruction to destroy the machine. Frank, wearing a jetpack, flies Athena to the machine. They say their goodbyes, and Athena's body is dropped into the machine, causing a massive explosion that kills Nix. The power in Tomorrowland shuts down, and Frank struggles to land safely with his jetpack. Casey rushes to check on him, and as they talk about the future, a vision of hope and possibility emerges. Together, they decide to restart the PIN program. They create new robots like Athena to travel the world, handing out pins to brilliant individuals who can help shape a better future for Earth. Thank you everyone for watching. This was the movie named Tomorrowland. Subscribe to my channel for more movie recap. Take care everyone.